Do you know Agile is the key for DevOps? Welcome to DevOps Introduction, Basic Concepts. In this one, we will talk about some of the agendas. Overview of DevOps, DevOps and System Administration, Evolution of DevOps, DevOps and Configuration Management. You can see from the picture, the DevOps clearly mean development and operation. So it actually involves multiple tasks. From the development side, you have create, plan, verify, packaging, and on the operation side, you have release management, configuration management, and operation. So basically, it is a combination of multiple jobs into a single role. Let's go into see what are the driving forces for the evolution of DevOps. The key factor for evolution of DevOps was the dramatic change in software delivery model. Waterfall used to be a very popular model back in days, but in past couple of years, I will say maybe a decade or so, as more and more software development cycle has adopted agile development methodology, it has led to evolution of small and incremental changes and rapid deployment. What do I mean by that? Unlike a waterfall model where you actually sit and talk about requirement, and before your requirement is finalized, you do not go into design phase. However, in case of agile, this is not the case. What you do at the beginning, you understand and agree on a concept that the requirements are not clear and they will keep on changing during the process of software development. So instead of finalizing the requirement, you come to a little bit of requirement, you start developing, and you do multiple cycles. So what happens that you have a software life cycle is dramatically reduced. Instead of having a full year of software development, now you have multiple, probably a month or maybe 2 weeks of software life cycle. And this had put a tremendous pressure on the deployment pipeline. So now instead of deploying a software once in a year, you're talking about deploying a software probably in a 2 weeks or a monthly basis. So that has driven the whole process of software delivery, including software development and implementation, to a complete automation of the system. Let's take a quick look on the SDLC pipeline, how it used to be, and we'll see how Agile has driven the development of DevOps culture. So here you can see the SDLC waterfall. It's a very simplified approach of it. How it shows? It shows that you have a requirement analysis, and the requirement analysis phase, you are focused on to get as much requirement as possible. Once all requirement has been finalized, you move to design phase. There actually the architecture design is conceptualized. It's not the development phase. You do the basic designing. Okay, assume I'm looking for an e-commerce website. I gather all the requirements of e-commerce website, and on the design phase I say, okay, for e-commerce, I'm looking for say 2-tier application, probably 3-tier application. Means I will have an app server, DB server, and a web server. And then you create all connection diagram and everything is done. And then you hire a bunch of developers and they actually start doing software development. Once the development is complete, you start on testing and deployment. And this is a kind of iterative process. You do development, testing, and testers find some bugs, they go back to development, and they keep going till they achieve the real objective defined in the requirement analysis, which is your requirement document. And now let's come to agile world. And the agile is a little bit different. Instead of actually coming to a whole requirement, you create a very small requirement, and based on that requirement you start designing. And whatever you design, it may be very simple. Say, take an example. When you talk about say e-commerce website, in agile world you may not know exactly how e-commerce will look like. What you will do, okay, let's do first start a basic web page. So you go to a web page designing, you do a UI designing, and UI designing you basically did some kind of requirement. Okay, I need some cart and some products, and define the products and create the layout and do the development and do the testing, and we keep coming back. So instead of getting the requirement of whole UI, we will small by project by, I will say component by component, we find the requirement and do the development. The key factor here is we are doing a small development at a one time, and as we are doing development, we are deploying them at the same time in the production. In that way, we can get a better feedback, and hence our product improvement is gradually achieved to a certain level of maturity. Take an example of any public website you use, say Facebook and Google. You don't see a message like Facebook says, okay, tonight we are going to do a massive upgrade and our website will be shut down and everything. You will see tomorrow a new look. No, instead each day you go, you see a small incremental change of their website. Maybe they have updated the icon, they may have updated something, maybe they have updated the look and feel of page. So basically they take small piece at a time, and yet they do quite often but smaller set of software deployment. And what is doing actually, let's go back to the previous slide. What is doing is it is actually putting a lot of pressure into the delivery pipeline. Back in days, you used to have only one or twice in a year you will do deployment. In that time, you will hire testers, you will hire system admins and deployment, configuration management engineers, and they will work all through to get the software delivered out of the shop. But now, instead of once in a year, you're talking about almost every 2 weeks or every month, these kind of delivery. And this type of task cannot be done manually anymore. This is the driving factor why DevOps has become so popular, and it has focused and forced the whole industry to get for automation. So you do more automation. This is the only way you can achieve these kind of objectives. Some of the components of DevOps is configuration management, system administration, build engineer, test automation, production deployment, monitoring, alerting, and probably replace him or herself over a period of time, because you are trying to automate all these jobs I mentioned into a one job. So a DevOps job typically looks like you have to be wearing multiple hats at the same time. You have to be Linux administrator, you have to have understanding of configuration management, which comes your Git, knowledge of Git and the workflow management, build engineer. You should be able to do compilation and understand what is the code compilation or linking. Take an example of Java, Maven, or you're talking about GCC compiler in C Word. You have to be a little bit developer as well, because as you go through these tools, many times you will see there is always something missing in these tools, and you have to glue it together using your some of the developer skill. You don't have to be rock star developer, but you have to be good enough in order to do something. Test automation. A tester might have run a test case, but what you have to do as a part of DevOps pipeline, what you will do whenever your code goes to a delivery or any kind of deployment, you run a test before it goes to delivery. Or sometimes you have a test driven development, in that the moment code is checked in into a repository, you run some certain kind of test cases in order to make sure the code which has been pushed, it is authentic. And this could be any kind of test automation, could be done by someone else, or it could be some kind of automation or a code inspection tools. And the last one is the platform orchestration. You also be able to create some kind of platform orchestration where you can create the platform on the fly, and once your job is done, you finish the platform, basically kill the platform in order to minimize the cost in public cloud. So what is the end goal of a DevOps? Is that greater IT efficiency, lower the cost of ownership. Why you're lowering costs? You're wearing multiple hats, so organizations saving money in terms of resource hiring, and you are increasing productivity at the same time. But DevOps is a very large. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe.